Chapter 8 Wilbur's Boast. A spider web is stronger than it looks. Although it made of thin, delicate strands, the web is not easily broken. However, a web gets thrown every day by the insects that kicked around it, and a spider must rebuild it when it gets full of holes. 샬롯 liked to hear to waving during the late afternoon, and Fern liked to sit nearby and watch. One afternoon, she heard a most interesting conversation and witnessed a strange event. "You have awful hairy legs, 샬롯," said Wilbur, as the spider built the work to her task. "My legs are hairy as a good reason," repeated 샬롯. "Furthermore, each leg of mine has 7 sections: the coxa, the trochanter, the femur, the patella, the tibia, the metatarsus, and a tarsus." Wilbur sat bolt upright. "You're kidding," he said. "No, I'm not either." "Say the names again. I didn't catch them the first time." "Coxa, trochanter, femur, patella, tibia, metatarsus, and tarsus." Goodness, said Wilbur, looked down at his own cubby legs. "I don't think my leg has 7 sections." "Well," said 샬롯, "you and I lead different lives. You don't have to spin a web, and it's taking a real long work." "I don't spin a web if I try," said Wilbur, boasting. "I just never try." "Let's see you do it," said 샬롯. Fern chuckled softly, and her eyes glowed wide with the love for the pig. "Okay," replied Wilbur. "You coach me, and I'll spin one. It must be a lot of fun to spin a web. How I do start?" "Take a deep breath," said 샬롯, smiling. Wilbur breathed deeply. "Now climb into the highest place you can get to, like this." 샬롯 raced up to the top of the doorway. Wilbur scrambled to the top of the manure pile. "Very good," said 샬롯. "Now make an attachment of your spinners. Hurl yourself into a space and let out into the drag line to go down." Wilbur hesitated a moment, then jumped out into the air. He glanced hastily behind to see if a piece of rope that's following the track is full, but nothing seemed to be happening this rear. And the next thing he knew, he landed onto a thump. "Oomph!" he grunted. 샬롯 laughed so hard her web began to sway. "What did I do wrong?" asked Wilbur, when he's recovered into his dump. "Nothing," said 샬롯. "It was a nice try." "I think I'll try again," said Wilbur cheerfully. "I believe that I need a little piece of string to hold me." A pig walked into the yard. "You there, Templeton?" he called. The rat poked his head from under the trough. "Got a little piece of string could I borrow?" asked Wilbur. "I need a spin web." "Yes, indeed," replied Templeton, who saved strings. "No trouble at all. Anything is obliging." He crept down into his holes, pushed the goose egg out of the way, and returned into an old piece of dirty white string. Wilbur examined it. "What's just that thing?" he said. "Tie on the end of my tail, will you, Templeton?" Wilbur scratched low with his thin curly tail towards the rat. Templeton seized the strings passed around at the end of Pig's tail, tied two half hitches. Charlotte watched that delight. Like Fern, she was truly fond of Wilbur, whose smelly pan of stale food and a touch of flies and she need. She was proud to see that when it was queer to Will trying again to spin a web. Wilbur, while the rat and a spider and a little girl watched, Wilbur climbed into the top of a manure pile, full of energy and hope. "Everybody watch!" he cried, and stumbling all over his breath, and threw himself into the air headfirst, and throwing tail behind them. As he naturally as fastened the bother at the end thing, it didn't really do any good, and Wilbur landed on his throat, crashed and hurt. Tears came into his eyes. Templeton grinned. Charlotte just sat quietly. After a bit she spoke. "You can spin a web, Wilbur, and I advise you to put an idea of your mind. You lacked two things needed to spin a web." "Oh, what are they?" asked Wilbur sadly. "You like a spinners, spinneret. You like to know how. But cheer up. You don't need a web. Sarkoman supplies you into a big meal a day. Why could you worry about having a food?" Wilbur sighed. "You're ever so much brighter than I am, Charlotte. I was trying to show off. Serving me right." Templeton untied his string and took a back to his home. Charlotte returned to her weaving. "You needed to feel too badly, Wilbur," she said. "Not many creatures can spin webs. Even men aren't as good as spiders. Also, they think they're pretty good, and they'll try to get anything. Did you ever hear of a Queen's Bridge?" Wilbur shook his head. "Is that a web?" "Sort of," replied Charlotte. "But do you know how long it took men to build it? 8 whole years. My goodness, I have started at that waiting of that long. I can't make a web of the single evening." What do people catch the Queen Bridge bugs?" asked Wilbur. "No," said Charlotte. "They don't catch anything. They just keep throwing back and forth across the bridge, thinking of something better than the other side. If they had head down at the top of things and wait quietly, maybe something good would come along. But no, with men it's rush, rush, rush every minute. I'm glad I'm a sedentary spider." "What does sedentary mean?" asked Wilbur. "Means I sit still as a good part of time, and I don't want to bordering of other creation. I know a good thing when I say it, and my web is a good thing. I stay put until the wait for it comes. Give me a chance to think." "Well, I'm sort of centenary myself, I guess," said the pig. I have to hang around with the whether I wanted to go or not. You know where I really like to this evening? Where? In the forest, looking at beech nuts and truffles and delectable fruits, pushing the leaves aside on my wonderful strong nose, scutching and sniffing along to the ground, smelling. You smell just like where you are, remarked the lamb who was just walked in. I can smell you are here. You are the smelliest creature in this place. Wilbur hung his head. His eyes glowed with tears. Charlotte noticed his embarrassment, and she spoke sharply to the lamb. Let Wilbur alone, she said. He has a perfectly right to smell, considering his strongness. You're no bottles of sweet peas yourself. Furthermore, you're not interrupting a very pleasant conversation. You were to talk about Wilbur. Whether was Rudy in to interrupt? Oh, I don't remember, said Wilbur. It does make any difference. Let's not talk any more for a while, Charlotte. I'm getting sleepy. You go ahead and finished fixing your web, and I'll just lie here and watch you. It's a lovely evening. Wilbur sketched out of his sight. Twilight startled out of Zarkman's barn, and feeling of peace. Fern knew it was almost supper time, but she couldn't bear to live. Swallows passed up silent wings and the other of the doorway, bringing food to their young ones. From across the road, a bird sang, Whippoorwill, whippoorwill. Ruby sat down under the apple tree to lit his pipe. The animal sniffed a familiar smell of strong tobacco. Wilbur heard the shrill of tree toad and the occasional slammings of the kitchen door. All these sounds made him feel comfortable and happy, for he loved life and loved to be part of the world of summer evening. But as he lay there remembered what the old sheep had told him. The thought of death coming to him and began to tremble into the fear. Charlotte, he said softly. Yes, Wilbur. I don't want to die. Of course you don't, said Charlotte, comforting voice. I just love here in this barn, said Wilbur. I love everything about this place. Of course you do, said Charlotte. We all do. The goose appeared, followed by her 7 goslings, and thrust their little neck out of cat up into a musical whistling, like a teeny throb of pipes. Wilbur listened to the sound of the love he was heard. Charlotte, he said. Yes, said the spider. Will you caress me into a promise you could Captain from killing me? I was never more serious in my life. I am not going to let you die, Wilbur. How are you going to save me? Asked Wilbur, who crustily was very strong of the point. Well, said Charlotte, vaguely, I don't really know, but I'm working up the plan. That's wonderful, said Wilbur. How are these plans coming, Charlotte? Have you got very far with it? Is the coming along pretty well? Wilbur is trembling again, but Charlotte was cool corrected. Oh, it's coming all right, she said lightly. The plant is still oddly strange, and it hasn't completely shaped up yet, but I'm working on it. When do you work on it? Begged Wilbur. When I am hanging head down at the top of my web. Because I do then when I do my thinking because there all the blood in my head. I was only glad to help any way I can. Oh, I walked it out alone, said Charlotte. I can think better if I think alone. All right, said Wilbur, but don't fail to let me know if there's anything I could do help, no matter how slight. Well, replied Charlotte, you must try to build yourself up. I want you to play plenty of sheep and stop worrying. Never hurry and never worry. Chew your food thoughtfully, truthfully, and eat every bit of it. Except you must leave just enough for Templeton. Gain weight and stay well. That's the way you can help. Keep fit and don't lose your nerves. Do you think you understand? Yes, I understand, said Wilbur. Go along to bed then, said Charlotte. Sleep is important. Wilbur trotted over to a desk corner of his pen, threw himself down. He closed his eyes. In another minute he spoke. Charlotte, he asked. Yes, yes, Wilbur. May I have go my trap and see I left any my supper? I think I left a teeny bit of mashed potato. Very well, said Charlotte, but I want you into bed again without delay. Wilbur started onto the race of his yard. Slowly, slowly, said Charlotte. Never hurry and never worry. Wilbur checked himself into a crab slowly to his trough, and found a bed of potatoes. Chose it carefully, swallowed it, and walked back to his bed. He closed his eyes and silent for a while. Charlotte, he said in a whisper. Yes? May I get a drink of milk? I think there is a few drops of milk left in my trough. No, the trough is dry, and I wanted to go to sleep. No more talking. Close your eyes and go to sleep. Wilbur shut his eyes. Fern got up from the stool and started to go home. Her mind is full of everything she had seen and heard. Good night, Charlotte, said Wilbur. Good night, Wilbur. There was a pause. Good night, Charlotte. Good night, Wilbur. Good night. Good night.